how do you see that this is the situation improving? Because laying of fiber, I remember, used to be one of the biggest challenges that networks used to face. It was not only because it was intensive in investment, but also on provision of approvals, right? Municipalities were not giving permission, roads used to get dug up, there was not enough right of way to be provided. Where do you see we have actually advanced in that? Is the government doing enough? Should we be knocking on their doors to say that if so much fiber needs to be laid, how is it going to be possible? It's not the lack of will, it's not the lack of investment, but it is definitely the lack of approvals.
So when we are putting down a network, typically the cost of fiber cable and all the passive components is around 5% of the total cost of the network. The biggest chunk of that is actually in things like right-of-way, and the ability to get permissions, and the logistics of deployment and so on. So a couple of things that could really help is if, for one example is if that fiber could be treated like, or communications channels could be treated like utilities. I mean, you can't just go randomly dig up a power line, for example. But fiber cuts are an everyday thing, and the network operators are the ones who have to bear the brunt of it. If fibers are actually treated like utilities and there's a policy change around that, then you'll actually see a lot of benefit coming from some things like making sure that networks can constantly keep getting added to rather than actually having to worry about maintenance of the networks. That's one area. There's a number of different technologies that have come up in the recent times to make fiber deployment as less intrusive as possible. Use of manholes, horizontal drilling, all kinds of things. So it's a lot better now than it used to be 3-4 years ago, and the technology is improving every day. And I think that with 5G coming in, we're going to need all of those aspects, the policy aspects, the technology aspects, and so on to be taken, and as well as the total cost of ownership aspect, that will be important.